the top 10 mistakes that most smartphone filmmakers make. Guys, please stop making these mistakes. Hey, what's up guys, Julian from smartphonefilmmakingpro.com here, the ultimate online course about smartphone filmmaking. And today, like I said, we will talk about the 10 mistakes that most beginner smartphone filmmakers make, and even some more experienced filmmakers also make some of these mistakes sometimes. We will start from the top, so we will start with the 10th mistake, and that will be the least drastic mistake, and then we will work our way to the end with the mistake that most people make and also the mistakes that have the most impact onto your final videos. So without any further ado, let's start with mistake number 10. And the mistake number 10 is using the front camera. I know when you want to film yourself, it is very tempting that you just take your phone, turn on the front camera and start shooting like this. And there we also have another mistake that we will talk about later on. And actually most of the time we have a few more mistakes that we will be talking about in this video. But guys, the front camera has much worse quality compared to the rear shooters of your smartphone. So whenever you want to get some good looking videos and the best quality possible, then make sure that you're using the back cameras of your phone. They will just deliver massively better results compared to the front camera. The 9th mistake that I have for you is using the wrong frame rate. And there is no right frame rate and also no wrong frame rate, like in generally speaking, but of course it depends on like how you're filming your videos and what you want to do with the final video, because sometimes it makes sense to shoot your videos in 24 or 25 frames per second, and then there are other scenarios where it makes a lot of sense to shoot at 60 frames per second. And I see it very often that people shot their videos in 24 frames per second, for example, and then they try to slow the footage down later on in the post-production, and then the video will be very stuttery because you just have too little frames and you cannot slow that down. So in case you're shooting B-roll sequences or you're just capturing some B-roll for your videos and whatever those videos might be, make sure that you switch into 60 frames per second, because then you have the option later on in the post-production to slow the videos down by 50% and even more, and this will create some awesome looking buttery slow motion. The next mistake that I have for you that I also see very often is just like we have talked about before, just grabbing the smartphone and maybe even shooting with the rear shooters, but then always shooting everything in vertical video, just like this, because this is the most natural way of holding a smartphone. And of course, with social media being a huge part of our lives these days, shooting vertical video makes a lot of sense, but not for everything. In case you're capturing your holidays, for example, and then you want to make a video out of it that you show on YouTube or just on a TV, for example, then it does not make sense to shoot everything in vertical, because then your video will be vertically as well. And in case you're watching a vertical video on a 16:9 screen, your video will be very, very tall and very, very narrow. So always think about where your video is going to end up, and this determines then how you should film your video. So before you press the record button, make sure that you think about where your video will end up. The next mistake that I have for you is shooting outdoors on a bright sunny day during noontime and then also filming people during this time. This is the worst time for filming people, because at this time the sun is at the highest position and basically directly over your talent. And when you're filming during this time, then your talent in front of the camera first of all will be blinded because it's just very bright outside, and they will have to squeeze down their eyes. This will not look very good at all. And on top of that, because it's noon, because the sun is at the highest position, they will also have raccoon eyes. They will have some very harsh shadows in their eyes here, and this is not looking flattering at all. So please guys, don't do this. The next mistake that I have for you is having shaky footage. And thanks to technology evolving all the time and optical image stabilizations becoming more and more popular in smartphones and also better all the time, this is not a mistake that I see that often anymore, but still sometimes I can find some videos that are looking very, very shaky. So in case you're having, not the most steady hands at all, I would just recommend that you maybe invest a little money into a tripod maybe, or into a 3-axis gimbal. This will just smooth out all your imperfections and you will get much smoother and much steadier shots. And in the end, it will just be a much more pleasant viewing experience for the viewers when they do not have to watch your shaky hands. The next mistake that I have for you, on the other hand, I see very often, and a lot of people do this all the time, and some people don't even know how they can avoid this, and that is using all auto everything. Auto exposure, auto focus, auto white balance, auto everything. And you know, in case you are just starting out, this is of course the most convenient way because you don't have to think about anything and you will still get some good looking results, some decent looking results, yes. But on the other hand, it will be very noticeable that you are still a beginner, because having constantly changing focus, exposure, and white balance is just nothing that you would ever see in professional shot videos. So in case you want to avoid this, in case you're using an iPhone, or this basically also works with Android phones, before you press the record button, just long press on the screen. On iPhones, it will tell you AF and AE locked. And that means autofocus and auto exposure is locked. And what this means is there won't be any changes in focus and in exposure during the video. And this will just be much better compared to always having changes in those areas. So before you press the record button, make sure that you lock your focus and your exposure. And in case you're using more professional apps like Filmic Pro, for example, then you can also lock the white balance. And this will then make it possible for you to really dial in the settings that you would like to have, and you will get some awesome looking results. The next mistake that I have for you is shooting in HDR and not converting it to SDR footage. This is only a problem in case you have a newer smartphone like the iPhone 12 or 13, and also some Android phones have this option. And the reason for that is it's just a different color spectrum whether you're filming in HDR or in SDR. And when you shoot your videos in HDR and you display your video in SDR, this will look very bad if you have not transformed the color space. I won't go into more detail now on how this works. Inside of our full Smartphone Filmmaking Pro online course, we have pretty much solutions to all of these mistakes that I'm talking about in this video. Inside of the course, we have over 160 videos, almost 18 hours of content, and it's also constantly growing. You will get access to a private community. You can send in your videos. You will get direct feedback from me personally. So in case that's something that's interesting for you, definitely make sure to click the first link below that like button. That will bring you to a free webinar where I share the top 5 secrets that you need to know to create some awesome looking videos with your smartphone. So in case you're interested, just click the first link below that like button. So now we are already in the top 3 mistakes that most people make and that have the most impact on the final outcome of a video. And mistake number 3 is not investing a single minute into the post-production of your videos. For those of you that are a member of Smartphone Filmmaking Pro, know that I'm just very often talking about the editing process. And basically in filmmaking, you're telling your story a few times. First of all, you're planning your video, then you're shooting your video, and then you also tell your story another time when you're editing the video. Inside of the post-production, you can just massively change the outcome of a final video. You can make it much better than it actually looked when you were filming it. And you can also make it much worse by not investing a single minute into the post-production. So mastering the editing, and it doesn't matter if you're just editing on your smartphone or on a computer, this does not matter at all. Mobile apps and also of course on computers, the programs offer a ton of possibilities. You just have to know what you're doing. So in case you really want to get some good videos, make sure that you master your editing skills. The next mistake that I have for you, mistake number 2, is also something that I see very often, and something where I'm going crazy when I see this, when my students show me some footage that is just not looking, just not looking as sharp and not looking as nice as it could be. And the reason for that most of the time is just that they are having a dirty camera lens. I know we're carrying our phones around all day long, we're having it in our pockets, and the lenses just get dirty from time to time. I understand that. That's the same with me as well. But before you start shooting, just make sure that you take a small microfiber cloth and just clean your lenses. You know, it only takes 5 seconds, no efforts at all. And then make sure that you take a look at them, make sure that it's not steamy, not, you know, the dust on there. And then you will be able to just shoot your videos and you will just get much sharper videos compared to them being all smushy and all that. So before you start shooting, please just clean your lens. And last but not least, the number one mistake that pretty much all people are making wrong all the time is not using proper audio. Also, for those of you that are students of Smartphone Filmmaking Pro know this, audio is half of the viewing experience, and having some nice and full sounding audio is probably even more important than having nice looking visuals. So just invest some money into maybe a lavalier microphone or an on-camera microphone in case you're shooting more stuff where people are talking or where you yourself are talking. Just invest the money, get a good microphone, and trust me, the overall outcome of your videos will just be night and day better. But there you have it, guys. These are the top 10 mistakes that I see very often with various people, and please don't make these mistakes. I hope this video helped you. I hope this opened your eyes for some aspects of filmmaking. I know these are a lot of mistakes and it's difficult to keep them in your mind all the time, but just knowing them is very, very important. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to learn more, like I said, make sure to check out smartphonefilmmakingpro.com. This is, you know, the ultimate online course about smartphone filmmaking. We have put in so much effort into this, and we're super glad that we have over 1,000 students from all over the world. So in case you would like to join, definitely do so. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.